Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at a little 4-game slate here tonight on Tuesday night. In this one, we're looking at a game that we are expecting some points from. The Memphis Grizzlies taking on the Indiana Pacers in Indiana there. Make sure you check out Nate's great article that has that game on there and some best bets and player props in there for you as well. And do like and subscribe to that page. Got a couple other videos up for you today, including that player props video, 7-1 in the last 2 nights that we've been betting those 4-0 last night to kick off the week. And also check out thelines.com. We do have that great odds checker for you and props tool to make sure you're getting all the best bets on your juice there. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, the Grizz right now -7.5 at Indiana. Dylan Brooks has been back for 1 game. They won by 7 points in OKC on Sunday. Pacers playing their 3rd game in 4 nights here. Total at 234.5 has been only bet up about 1.5 points thus far. So still some value to be found there. 3 other games on the slate tonight. We got the Nets -10 at the Magic, who are a surprising 7-2 against the spread since the All-Star break. Pistons have also been spunky, and they're +12.5 at the Heat. And then the other game we break down, Suns -6 at Pelicans, total of 228. We'll see if CJ McCollum is able to make his return from COVID tonight. He is listed as questionable. In this Memphis game, you said it. It's all about points when Indiana plays at home, especially. They're 17-5 to the over in their last 22 games, but 10-2 to the over their last 12 at home. Josh, that includes 2 games against the Celtics and Cavaliers, 2 teams that you would expect the highest rate of unders from at different points in the season. Granted, Cleveland's defense has kind of fallen through, but Boston's defense is elite right now. And Indy dropped 128 on Boston right out of the All-Star break. Since getting Tyrese Halliburton, they've had him for 13 games, and they're scoring about 120 a game. They're also struggling to stop anybody and allowing 38% from deep in that span. Memphis should have more firepower from deep now that they got Dylan Brooks back. He is one of their few legitimate outside shooters other than Desmond Bane. Otherwise, they get everything going in the paint. As we know, number 1 paint points, number 1 fast break points, number 1 offensive rebounds, 4th in free throw attempts. Indy not doing well defending any of those departments. So that's a good starting point there. You also look at what Memphis has done against Eastern Conference foes, averaging 121 against the East in their last 10. They're 13-9 to the over in those games, 10-5 to the over as a road favorite, and clearing the over by their highest rate at 6 points per game there. Also 10-5 against the spread as a road favorite, and 23-12 against the spread on the road straight up. So, I mean, I like Memphis here, of course, I think, but I don't really like the 7.5 points. They failed to cover that kind of spread in the last 2 games here against similarly, young, feisty teams in the Knicks and Thunder. I mean, Thunder playing a lot more similarly to the Pacers right now. Exactly. That game did go over, but Memphis coming up short of covering. So, again, I'm thinking a teaser that gets it down close to 230 in terms of the over, and then you get Memphis at -3.5 or so. Or I would look at their team total at 120.5. That's pretty much what Indiana's given up there. I mean, in fact, it's exactly what they've given up in their last 10 home games, with 9 of those 10 going over. They're 5th in pace during that span. They have a 122 defensive rating, and they're giving up 4th highest percentage of points on the fast break. So that will certainly bode well for Memphis as John Morant and company look to get out and run.
Yeah, I don't love that the Pacers have covered the spread at each of their last four against the Grizz. I mean, it was different teams. At least the Pacers were much different, in last season and in the beginning of this season. So that's not super telling to me. I think that I would rather just talk about the over than anything, kind of the way you were mentioning it. I mean, 234.5 climbing a little bit. It's still a game where you look at, like you said, really the Pacers in general, but specifically at home. It's just a ton of points, and the fact that they were able to score those 128 against the Celtics at home, right after the All-Star break, and giving up that 107, that was mostly on the Celtics' awful shooting. But I also just really like the fact that we have those two Thunder games in the last few weeks for them, or at least that one Thunder game, and then a few, including like the Magic, right, where we're still seeing them get those games above that 235 mark, and playing with incredible pace, especially at home, playing a lot better on offense at home. And the only thing that they can really do on defense is get defensive rebounds. They don't limit really anything else that you want to do to the point you're making. Those fast break points are going to be huge tonight, both these teams. And that's really where I start with the total and really feeling really great about the over, on top of the fact that, we talk about Memphis going over the way that they have on the road. We're also talking about two teams that just want to push. Pace is very high, as we mentioned. Indiana is scoring a ton of their points off of the fast break, sixth highest percentage in their last home games since they got Halliburton. And then Memphis, as you said, that's everything that they want to do. And then Indy's also scoring a ton of points in the paint. So I think really we can expect not a ton of threes outside of pretty much Buddy Hield and Dylan Brooks pulling for each team. And then really just both teams attack as they've been doing, getting the rebounding going, playing with that incredible pace. I'd still feel good about Memphis winning. I mean, their margin of victory on the road as a favorite is 8.5 points a game. That covers the spread by about 3 points per game when they're the favorite on the road each time. So, I think that they're in a good position to still pull this one off. It's not like the Pacers are exactly world beaters at home. I mean, they managed to only lose by 3 to the Cavs and beat the Celtics, but that was an anomaly game for me for the C's in that one. And then, continuing to give up a ton of points and score them against slower paced teams like the Thunder, Wizards, everybody at home. But it's really about what they do when they play a team with pace at home, which is what you mentioned. Teams like the Timberwolves and even the Cavs, who have picked it up on the road in terms of their pace, et cetera, they're going to go over in those games, get over that 235 mark as they have in the last couple of weeks or so, dating all the way back to the Chicago home game. So, look, Tyrese Halliburton came in. This team changed its identity entirely and just became all about run and gun without Malcolm Brogdon in there as well in the lineup over the last couple of games. It's really just been about flying out there and not really worrying about efficiencies too much. So that's going to continue to lead for points for John Morant company. Once you get a team against the Grizzlies that's going to play in the same style as Memphis is just going to do it way better. One team has John Morant and one doesn't. So I still like the points no matter what. I would consider a tease or a parlay money line there, but I'm also not super terrified of the 7.5 if you wanted to take that as its own bet.
Yeah, but I think I would stick with the overs here, and probably the same strategy we used at the Bucks Jazz last night, which is to say, if the total's 234, why not an over in the first half at 117? These teams, again, are scoring a ton in the first half. Memphis leads the league in first quarter points. They're getting 66 points per game in the first half in their last 3. Indy up there at 64, averaging 60 on the season at home in the first half. And they've really, fallen off a cliff in the second half in terms of their scoring over the course of the entire season. It's been different with Halliburton in there. They haven't necessarily struggled as much, but they're 4th in points per game in that second quarter and 9th in the first quarter versus 29th in the third quarter as teams make adjustments. So Memphis probably comes out, plays well on offense as they always do, and has a little fun with it in an up and down game, but then they'll probably put the clamps on late. Now Dylan Brooks is back. That gives them a valuable defender to throw at Buddy Hield and company. So I actually feel a little bit better about a first half over than the entire over. But again, I do think it's a prime teaser territory here for both the games we're talking about tonight, where you just want the total a little lower and you want the spread a little lower with the favorite on the road. Two teams in Memphis and Phoenix that win their games, obviously two best records in the NBA, but they don't necessarily cover in all these spots when they get 7-8 point spreads.
No, that's fair. And like I said, that 8-point margin of victory for Memphis on the road as a favorite, that's right at about what the spread is. So to your point, we're almost looking at a similar scenario to the NFL where it's like we just kind of want to get that spread under a touchdown or under a field goal and then feel a lot better about it tonight. And, last thing I would say, similar to, what you sparked in my thoughts relevant to what we bet last night with the Bucks and the Jazz, we kind of made the point. We like the Bucks to win, which they did. We like the over, which it hit both the first half and the total, as you mentioned. But it was one of those things where we like Milwaukee to win, and in their wins, they scored 18 more points a game than in their losses, 121 versus 103. Similar scenario tonight for Memphis. When they win, we're talking about 119.6 points versus 103.5, right? So 16 different point difference there in terms of how much they score when they win. And this is just a game where there's no one on the team that's going to be stopping anybody on Memphis for Indy. So I think we just feel good about a lot of points. Memphis on the road, Indy at home, points, 235, not worried about it. So I think that's where we're at tonight. And that is all the time that we have for you in this one. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. Check out those other couple videos we have for you tonight. And until we see you next, happy betting.